And this is a video, of course, you see Dillian Whyte throwing up massive weights um, and mocking Deontay Wilder for his bitch pressing skills as he calls Deontay Wilder a pussy. All the whining and the screaming of little weights. Dillian Whyte says he's been doing that for the longest. Now let me counterpunch. This just goes to show you a lot of methods, different methods, what people choose to do versus trying something new. Dillian Whyte, is a totally different build from Deontay Wilder. He's like 6'4", maybe 250, between 250, 260. Looks like a running back or a fullback. No, not a running back. More like a fullback or a linebacker or something like that. He's a big guy, or a big tight end, rather. Looks like he has definitely a football build, whereas Deontay Wilder, lean, tall, and he has more like a basketball build. Now, coming from a guy that has long arms like that, and they both have long arms, but long, thin arms like Wilder, you can understand that, for one, he doesn't do that type of exercise. For two, the type of build that he has, it's a longer distance from his chest to the full extension of his arm, getting it up. Now, I might add this with weights. Wilder lifted weights to prove a point, and he was doing that to prove a point. And the point is, if he struggled like that, bench pressing 300 plus pounds, he's going to struggle like that trying to toss somebody around big as Wilder. And I don't think that should be a strategy. And if anything, Fury's getting big like that to lay his weight on Deontay Wilder. Okay, and if that's the case, you don't need upper body. Like I told everybody in the first video, you don't need that. Wilder doesn't need to be stronger in his upper body. He needs to work more on his legs. And his legs are the main issue when dealing with someone that's putting weight on you. Okay, there's a lot of tactics you can do. He had him in the headlock. He was leaning on his back. And when you do that, it takes juice out of your back. That all affects your legs. Okay, it all affects your foundation. And so he needs to work more on his foundation than anything else. Well, Dillian Whyte seen it. He was like, man, you're struggling doing that with your upper body, and you're supposed to be strong. Look what I can do with these weights. Look at me. All that screaming and yelling. You must be a P-U-S-S-Y, right? These guys will continue going back and forth. I might note, though, when Whyte got knocked out, Deontay Wilder really didn't say too much. He said glass, but I heard that wasn't even for Dillian Whyte. So I don't even know if he really responded to the Povetkin knockout. But, it's strange. Those guys supposed to have common opponents. If things would have went the way they supposed to win, I guess, went to plan. If things would have went to plan, they would have both fought Povetkin. So we'll never know. So the common opponents between them is kind of like, okay, who is it? But, Dillian Whyte saw that, Deontay Wilder will get some criticism for his attempt. Well, not attempt, because he did get it up. He was getting spotted, of course, but he did get it up. He did extend that bar in the air. He pushed it off of his chest. And then that just shows you, though, when you're doing exercises that you rarely ever do, you're going to get certain reactions. Okay, that was definitely not an example of muscle memory. Okay, that was something that a person was doing that he hasn't really doing, or not. He's not accustomed to doing. Okay, so Deontay Wilder and Dillian Whyte, these guys will continue to talk smack back and forth until they get in the ring. But Dillian Whyte did do it with ease, but of course, he's the kind of guy that lifts weights, as you can tell. If you look at a Dillian Whyte training camp, you have leg lifts, he working those legs, 400 or 500 pounds. He's using those type of tools as far as weightlifting. Okay, now that could be a good or a bad thing. If you ask me, none of it's good. None of it's good. You know, I would implement the training of Herschel Walker, you know, where he uses zero weights, just like Bruce Lee. He really didn't use weights like that. He said that affects your reflexes, and I believe it does. You know what I mean? Like, look at Anthony Joshua in the first Ruiz fight versus the second. The second, he was way more flexible because he got off the weights, he got on a diet, and he shredded those pounds because he didn't need that muscle to do what he needed to do in that ring. So both of these guys using weights to counterpunch both of them, I don't think they really need them. And in fact, Dillian Whyte was a lot smaller and he was a lot more effective. You know, he has good fundamentals, but his foundation is off, you know, speaking of him also. Because if you see him when he throws punches and he misses, he's all over the place. He's like Demetrius Andrade in retrospect, because, you know, Demetrius will throw a punch and spin all the way down to the floor. So, you know, I think that these guys, if you want to talk about weightlifting and the weightlifting contest thereof, I think Dillian Whyte beats him 10 out of 10 because Deontay Wilder, this is all new to him. So welcome to the game of training with strength and conditioning. I wouldn't even say the right way, but the way that most fighters do it. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Dillian Whyte mocking Deontay Wilder for screaming and yelling, lifting those weights by implementing a rep of his own. Tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.